Welcome to Reno Buddhist Temple. Thank you so much for being here today. It just means so much to have you with us in person and online. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to sharing this precious time with you all. So, if you're tuning in at home, you found our live stream page and the order of service, our Shoshinge, our chanting book, and our Reno Buddhist Temple theme song, also on the chanting page. If you're here, the book is in the seat back pocket in front of you, our Shoshinge book, and we will begin with the 3 homages, followed by our Shoshinge chant and incense offering. And we will do this in a little bit different way. Here it's more of a walking meditation with social distance, so just take your time. We'll go row by row, starting from the front, and just be mindful of those around you and giving some space. I think we're all getting used to doing that these days, so we'll just continue that practice. Yes, Reverend Matthew?
Are we chanting differently than normal?
Yes. We are chanting in our heads, because we're listening to a recording and we're not sharing our breath here in the Hondo. So for those of you at home, please chant your little hearts out. You can do that safely. For us here in the Hondo, please follow along in the book and just chant in your heads and just think of it as more of a sort of settling meditation time. Our founder, Shinran Shonin, the monk at the very top of the largest photo up there, wrote the Shoshinge more than 800 years ago, and it compresses his experiences and insights into one pleasantly long poem. And he's still showing us how to practice Pure Land Buddhism today, 800 years later. And he is certainly with us to help guide our lives. Shinran wanted us to know that life is more than a simple journey from cradle to grave. It's a long, unbroken thread of life, which extends deep, deep into the past. And we are responsible for helping to extend that thread into the future. As we are chanting, we are offering incense as well, and everyone is encouraged to offer incense at your home altar and offer incense here. So I've already explained that we're going row by row. Incense offering is a cleansing of the mind and body before receiving the Dharma, before hearing the teachings of the Buddha. So it's very important to just be in the right frame of mind, a little more settled, a little more open, and ready to listen. So the burning of incense symbolizes the transcending of selfishness to become one with all. And here on the altar is Amida Buddha, the Buddha of boundless, infinite wisdom and compassion, here for all of us. Please offer incense with an open heart and deep gratitude to all our teachers. Nam Mom Bums.
We're going to do the 3 homages right here. Oh, sometimes people stand in front of the altar, so I was confused. 3 homages. The 3 homages are in the front page of this book, if you'd like to, again, mind chant them with us. Can't tell if my mic's on.
Nam Saranam Gacchami.
saranam gacchami. Sangam saranam gacchami.
Namando, 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 namando.
奇妙無量寿如来南無不可思議光法蔵菩薩に寺財政自在応部所東県小部浄土院国土人伝自然幕本流無常修正願長法慶右大偶勢高校士唯士小樹十世名称文字法不法無量無変更無限無体公園の少女歓喜知恵公不断難知無償公小日が交渉人生一切群上無交渉本願用語少女語死心信行願人上等学章大涅槃非死滅道願成就如来勝意公修世唯世弥陀本願会五辱惑自群上会往生如来両実言の法一年喜愛心不断本の特涅槃本性逆法さえ入領収死入会一に聖主信法上昇後異の水波無明湾本内心臓四分無上空心事心人天異尿に幸福運無運無資源妙無湾逆心謙虚大狂気即応超税合悪種一切全幕本部人門親如来流税願運言広大小芸者税人用踏んだりけリーダー部本元年部邪天教がなく修上信行十字人に南中死な昔インド祭天地論下中華自治域史構想現代小構成小異妙如来本税王記釈迦如来両河線一種合如来天軸流樹大事修道生出の財派有無権先世大乗無常法召喚議事昭和なく賢治南行六六信行異行指導楽億年二打部本願自念即時入群上唯の上昇如来道王法大悲偶税音天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下根如来永州他天神寺高専王朝大誓願こういう本願力栄光医療群上小維心金入空毒大崩壊筆脈入大永州州特使連芸造世界即昇信用法昇信有本の人間人図入賞自音自用芸本自動願両天使上法蘭上法さらい三蔵ルシ十上教本性専業気楽法天神菩薩音中芸報道因果見世願
大げにこゆたりき少女死因有心人惑前本部新人法承知承知即涅槃非死無量光明道小宇宙上開復系同社継承道南省有名浄土活入万全自力変言中円満特語感染症三風三神慶音言増魔法明道非因異生増悪地偶税思案了解証明化全道六名無所意公愛上三両逆惑光明明後家二年開入本願大智慧両者小樹混合心狂気一年総合両位大と逆三人即所法所市上楽見鎮公開一大教返帰安養可二祭先祖出身反戦人法系二行小弁流極十悪人類勝負大薬剤非正集中煩悩証言水不見大義無見上昇が本次元空妙仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具惑星現代生寺林伝芸形式上位少子即入弱上無意楽一心寺に納入仏教大義修士と上妻無縁極辱悪王族自修行心唯過心し
Echo. Hey, Will, could you turn my mic on? Oh, good, thank you.
苦毒よど聖祭ど大神お嬢は
And now we will have the children's program people go outside on the lawn, so I will sing them out. Go now in peace, go now, no. May, let the Buddha walk with you, let the Buddha walk with you, let the Buddha walk, just walk, let the Buddha walk with you. The bees are working in the garden, working wholeheartedly, like the butterfly gracefully. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Actually, I think there's several more verses to that. If only I could readily find it and easily sing it, it would be most pleasant. Let the Buddha smile in you, let the Buddha smile in you, let the Buddha smile in your eyes, let the Buddha smile in you. The Buddha is smiling in each being, smiling in the smallest heart, with a patch of blue sky and a morning bird. Let the Buddha smile in you. Let the Buddha work in you. Let the Buddha work in you. Let the Buddha work peacefully. Let the Buddha work in you. The bees are working in the garden, working wholeheartedly, like the butterfly gracefully. Let the Buddha work in you. Live. Let the Buddha live in you. Let the Buddha live in you. Let the Buddha live in your heart. Let the Buddha live in you. The Buddha lives in every being, living like a shining star, with infinite compassion and a grateful heart. Let the Buddha live in you. Let the Buddha live in you.
Our reading today is a letter from Renyo Shonin in 1474, a letter on the ease of rebirth, but the scarcity of those reborn. When I contemplate this subject with deep tranquility of mind, I realize that being born in the human world truly depends on powerful merit from observing virtuous discipline in many lifetimes. Birth in human life is very rare indeed. However, life is but momentary, while eternal life is the happy result of rebirth in the enlightened land of Amida. We bask in the glory of success, honor, and acclaim, but remember the natural law that states, "Those in their prime shall decline," or "Meeting foretells of parting." This means successes and honors cannot be sustained for any length of time. 40 or 50 years? Moreover, we are taught that for old or for young, the time of death is uncertain. Human life is indeed unreliable. The best path now for all people is this the best path now for all people of this Mappo time, an era of Dharma decline, is to attain true and trusting faith in other power and aspire to rebirth in the Pure Land. To attain the faith we call Shinjin, there are no special requirements for intellect or genius, for wealth or poverty, to be virtuous do-gooders, or to be the right gender. The prime objective is only to abandon self-practice and to place reliance on the Dharma path of Amida. Placing reliance on the Dharma path of Amida means to simply rely on the Buddha Amida with, there it was, singleness of heart. All beings who do this are enveloped without fail in Amida's infinite light, never to be let go. Faith, Shinjin, is simple to receive. Imposing no stringent requirements, Shinjin is singular confidence. It assures rebirth in the Pure Land at the very moment of its spark. The two characters, Shin and Jin, may be read peaceful plus heart, a heart faith-filled and confident. Everyone can realize rebirth in the land of clarity without even the slightest difficulty through placing the heart's complete reliance on Amida Buddha with clear and single purpose. Oh, it is easy to receive faith. Oh, is it easy to reach the Pure Land. On this subject, the larger sutra teaches the paradox, the ease of rebirth, but the scarcity of those reborn. The meaning of this passage is that although it is a simple matter to be born in the Pure Land through complete reliance on Amida, exceedingly few beings accept that gift, faith, and consequently, there are very, very few who are born in the Pure Land in this easy way. After understanding this, the Nembutsu is pronounced from morning until night, with only one purpose, expressing gratitude for great compassion and the universal vow. Reaffirm the Dharma over and over again in your hearts. Understand how very easy it is to receive this gift, faith, Shinjin, the settled heart, inner peace. You will gain certainty of rebirth in the Pure Land without fail, in the most important life, the one to come. With reverence, I remain. Renyo Shonin, March 3rd, 1474, in the reign of Emperor Bunmei. And we will now have a moment of meditation with soft music.
Thank you. This is a complex process. Trying to remove my mask without removing my microphone. A bit of a challenge. And climbing up onto this platform in a robe and not knocking the little teleprompter thingy-dingy off here is also a challenge. But today it looks like it's gone well. I feel completely relieved and practically done with my Dharma talk at that point, once I can just sit here without falling off the table. So, welcome everyone. Happy to see you all this morning. We have young and old and in between with us, which is wonderful. Here on the altar is Amida Buddha, the wisdom and compassion of the universe. Please know that the Buddha is here for you. I was away last weekend at a simple retreat in the Sierras, just being, no agenda, and there was a lot of walking and just amazing vistas. It was up in the granite kind of country where it's lakes, granite, and the occasional tree that figures out a way to grow in between the granite. Beautiful, beautiful country. I couldn't help but feel that all that beauty was a most accurate expression of the wisdom and compassion of the universe. Just so detailed. If you look in the big way, it's amazing. But then at the smallest thing, if you look at the smallest thing, if you just look at the corner of the rock and the way the rock is contoured and such, just wonderful. Which is a stark contrast to our human world of greed, anger, and ignorance. So, but everyone is welcome at Reno Buddhist Center. At home, I'm just trying to pick my camera. At home, or absolutely, if you've come here to be with us in the temple, it is very good that you have made the time to come to the temple. Your donations make it possible for this place to be here when someone else needs it, even someone you don't even know. So, that's wonderful. Thank you. Buddhism is a path of enlightenment. Over the course of thousands of years, many methods have been developed to cut through the delusions, the confusions, that different ways to uncloud our mind, ways to reduce cravings and aversions, and ways to reveal fuller and deeper like glimpses of our fundamental Buddha nature. There are many Dharma paths. Those are ways into the Dharma. Paths with different types of meditation, Dharma paths that use chanting and visualization, Dharma paths of selfless service, Dharma paths of vows of one sort or another, a lot of different kinds of vows there, paths of deep study, and paths of renunciation, like celibacy or vows of poverty. Even Dharma paths that require the surrender to a teacher who becomes like a placeholder for an unseen Buddha within. All these things. But all of Buddhism works to deconstruct the ego in a way and reconstruct a view of reality as it actually is. A wholeness or an emptiness. Those are the same thing in Buddhism, which is a little confusing. But that's a whole other Dharma talk I won't get to right now. So this process of deconstruction and revealing reality, this is done to end suffering. It will bring lasting joy. Of all these, our path, Shin Buddhism, is the easy path. So, I want to ask a big question today. How can the easy path be so hard? in the reading, we noticed that Renyo noted that it's supposed to be easy, but it's hard. So, we are part of Pure Land Buddhism, and often other folks in Buddhism sort of deride us a little bit for being kind of simple. We owe that easefulness that we seek to Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha's great life's work. From the larger sutra on Amida Buddha, I'll read a little bit. By the power of Amida Buddha's original vows, all who hear his name and desire birth will, without exception, be born into his land and effortlessly enter the stage of never going back. Actually, these scrolls on the south wall of the temple depict some of that making of the vow and things. So, okay. So this sounds very easy. No gigantic requirements in particular there. So all you have to do to reach enlightenment is want to be enlightened. That's very essential. Recognize our own limitations and bring the Buddha Amida to mind with a true and trusting heart. That's Shin Buddhism. It's so simple. Specifically suited to regular people with regular lives. There are no grand requirements, no giving everything up, only radical acceptance. Just taking refuge in something larger than our goofy little selves. Easy, right? We actively accept that we are not cut out to be fantastic spiritual people. And some of us are not. And we accept that the universe has immense, really limitless compassion for us. And immense and infinite wisdom if we only listen deeply in the silence. So there, I touched on the hard part of the easy path, the radical acceptance part. True and trusting, called Shinjin in the reading from Renyo Shonin. True and trusting, the idea that I am not going to somehow figure everything out myself is radical. Everyone's ego spends most of its time in this delusion of absolute self-power. Kind of like the Emperor in Star Wars, you know, he's with the... that's our ego. I don't mean it in a bad way, don't take it personally. But don't you always, I mean, every once in a while, don't you feel that inside you, that sort of like the Emperor Palpatine with the lightning bolts coming out of his fingertips? Whoa, where'd that come from? Yeah, well, so, everyone's ego spends most of its time in that delusion of absolute power. From fancy people, movie stars or whatever, to folks who pump gas and do some simple job, everybody's going through that. And they think, if I just get my life together, I will be happy. So pretty much the only operative thing is I, right? Yeah. It is hard to accept that this might not be how everything works. Just getting here today and participating in our service took lots of good karma, lots of non-you elements from the universe, positive insights and impulses through all your past lives, I don't know how you want to say that, have led to this day. But mostly, strings of the universe pulled on your behalf have led you here. So let's not waste this opportunity. Shin Buddhism is called the easy path. We just need to do these three things. Aspire to enlightenment, that's wanting to be at peace. listen deeply to the Dharma and to life's rhythms and kind of the amazing qualities of existence, and take refuge in Amida Buddha. Take refuge in the wisdom and compassion of the universe, bigger than us, or bigger than our ego, but not separate from us. That wisdom and compassion. If we do those things, a Pure Land birth will come, and thereby we will experience the lasting and eternal peace of enlightenment. In 1474, Renyo Shonin wrote those words. And I pause and think about that. That's a long time ago. I think people here were pretty primitive in 1474, but this guy's like talking to me, talking to my heart. I just think that's amazing and wonderful. Renyo Shonin wrote those words that Will read, the ease of rebirth, but the scarcity of those reborn. This is a paradox. If it's so easy, why don't more people follow it? Why don't more people follow the path to the Pure Land? Why isn't the Pure Land just full of people? Why isn't RBC just chock full of people on their way? Well, obviously there's rules. We can only have so many chairs, and they have to be spaced a little bit far apart. And the governor said we can only have 50 people. Even if we had a room for 1,000, we were only allowed 50 people. I'm sorry for my friends at other priests at other temples and churches who have room for 1,000 people and only 50 people are allowed. That just seems so odd and quirky. But I digress. Why is it that this paradox exists? If something's so easy, why don't people take advantage of it? Shinran Shonin, our denomination's founder here, the gentle person behind me on the big picture, here he speaks about the hard part of the Shin Buddhist path. It is difficult to encounter a time when a Buddha appears in the world, and difficult to hear the teachings of a Buddha. It is rare to hear the excellent Dharma for bodhisattvas. Even in the span of countless ages, it is difficult to meet true teachers, and it is difficult to teach the way. It is difficult to hear the teaching well, and more difficult to accept it. More difficult even than trust in the teaching of Shakyamuni Buddha's lifetime is the true entrusting of the universal vow. This, the most difficult of all difficulties, nothing surpasses its difficulty. It seems very difficult, doesn't it? That was Shinran's take on it. So, Amida Buddha vowed long, long ago to bring every sentient being to enlightenment. The slowest of the slow and the lowest of the low, everyone. This is what we call the primal vow, that basic compassionate underpinning of a whole spiritual universe. But trusting that is our limitation. Letting go of our guarded mindset is challenging. We have to check our ego at the door in just one moment. If we just do it for one moment, it will work. But we don't. Amida vowed that if sentient beings in the 10 quarters of the universe bring him to mind 10 times, or even once, with this deeply trusting heart, they will be held, never to be let go. They will be freed from suffering, their last rebirth ensured. The hardest part is accepting that it's so easy. Maybe the calculating bombu, which means goofball, the bombu self doesn't want to be released from suffering. That might be what's going on here. We're so used to it. We enjoy complaining. If you took away my suffering, who would I be, right? What happens when we're shown a way out? You know? I think of the rock opera Tommy by Pete Townsend. In it, Pete writes this: "If I told you what it takes to reach the highest height, you would laugh and say nothing's that simple. But you've been told many times before. Messiahs have pointed to the door, and no one has had the guts to leave the temple. I'm free, and freedom tastes of reality." That's not part of the quote I wanted to do, but that idea that we just sort of laugh at it instead of taking it to heart, that's the crux. So why don't we have the guts? Now, I almost didn't quote the part where it said guts to leave the temple, because I was afraid people would think I'm telling you to leave the temple. I think it's more metaphorical. What he's saying here is, anyway, so why don't we have the guts to take that easy path? Maybe we hesitate because we're too proud. We're proud of our personal abilities. We hear of the gate of easy practice, and we think, what kind of poor nincompoop would need that, you know? I can do it myself, right? That's what we think. Can we be frank for a moment? Is that a realistic self-evaluation? Are you likely to just go get enlightened by yourself anytime soon? I don't know. I know for me, not so much. Have we said things like that before? How did it go? Did we rebuild that broken lawnmower? Did we learn that new language during lockdown? Did we finish reading War and Peace? Honestly. Cliff Notes? Or did we really read it? That's just who we are. Probably the answer to a lot of those was no, we didn't. And I'm not cutting you down. I just want to be realistic about this. We have a fantastic offer on the table. We should at least examine why we don't take it. We are avoiding making the conclusion that the Buddhas have seen for ages. People are just super duper goofy beings, and they are extremely unrealistic when it comes to self-evaluation. The self does not measure itself very well. You are in the ocean of births and deaths. Take the lifeboat. Don't swim it yourself. We just need to do three things to do that. Aspire to Buddhahood, recognize our limitations, and take refuge in the infinite light and infinite life. Aspiring. We've all had the feeling that life can be better, that our experience of reality can be whole and fulfilling. The Buddha encourages this aspiration. It is essential. We can be honest about it. We want what we can just barely see in the glimpses of the Buddha's life. We want that for ourselves. The life of perfect freedom, in clear consciousness, full of wisdom and compassion, no anger, no greed, no ignorance, joyful and knowing existence. Imagine a life free from any suffering. A life where you can not only end your own suffering, but you'd be able to bring others to the end of their suffering too. We encourage you to aspire to this. It is important and necessary. It is essential. Buddha, or awakeness, is your fundamental nature. It's covered up by endless wanting and hating and all this stuff. What Shinran called the blind passions of ignorance and confusion. Frankly, if if you don't aspire to Buddhahood, nothing in Buddhism makes any sense at all. So, aspiration is essential. And then deep listening. We need to recognize our limitations. It's okay. The ego is limited. This is literally the ego's thing. To be alone and separate is its nature, its goal, and its torment. Except that from ego mind's viewpoint, we are a grain of sand, not a big, beautiful beach. I'm trying to hint there that we are actually a big, beautiful beach, but we think of ourselves as a grain of sand. So many examples can come up, but when we set out to do big stuff, we usually don't execute. So our emotions are constantly writing checks that our mind and our spirit and our body are unable to cash. Okay, we accept that. Accept that we are bombunin, that we have sometimes some pretty messed up stuff going on up here. Okay, we all have it. Shinran Shonin specifically said that. He said that all this Dharma study I've done and everything I've done in the monastery, I still sometimes experience these snakes and scorpions in my mind. So, we all do. That's okay, if we recognize it. Sometimes it takes a shocking experience to kind of snap us out of it. A bolt from the blue, a tragedy, or even the pandemic, for instance. And then we can see the limitations of I, me, and my. We can be jolted out of this complacency of our pride or fear, and then we can act. We can change our outlook and recognize those limits. Then it's time for taking refuge. The last piece of the easy path is taking refuge. We talk about this often. It is essential. Namu Amida Butsu. That's taking refuge. I take refuge in Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the wisdom and compassion of the universe. This is a heartfelt, confidence-filled knowing. Knowing you will be okay. This is a safe place. That you will be better off protected here than out there in the ocean of births and deaths. By yourself, in such an ocean, you would be by yourself, treading water, in the dark, in a storm. So, lifeboat, treading water in the dark in the storm in the giant, unknowingly large ocean. Which one should we pick? Take refuge and come to safety. Maybe better to say, come inside where the air conditioning is running and you will be cool and safe. That's more topical for our season. These were just thoughts that came to me on that retreat in the Sierras. Maybe because of the contrast between the mountain's beauty and then coming back. Well, I came back on Sunday afternoon, and it was strange because I drive a convertible. I came into town, and it was so smoky, I couldn't see the end of the block, just like a billowing cloud of smoke. And I thought to myself, why did I come back here? So, it's a little easier to take refuge in difficult times. But finding Shinjin, or true entrusting, is indeed the most difficult of difficulties. Have it, and you are safe, and you won't go back. The Buddha taught this, so we would take heart and spend time with the Dharma, live our lives on the path, and bring the compassion and wisdom of Amida to everyone someday. Probably the only way to become a Buddha in our day and age is to find the settled heart, Shinjin, truly trusting in the vow of Amida to save all sentient beings, no matter how unsuited they may be. Maybe the more unsuited, the better. When we have faith, it is the same true faith as Shinran had. We do this so that we may take birth in the Pure Land and really see Amida Buddha face to face and be transformed by that experience. Every single word that Shinran Shonin ever wrote was filled with a simple, laser-like, diamond-hard message of coming to Amida Buddha, taking refuge, receiving this gift of Shinjin, and thereby being done, finished at long last with the endless journey from life to life to life, and at the beginning of Buddhahood at last. Let's say our metta prayer together. Repeat after me, though in a gentle voice to stay within the mask. May you be happy. May you be free from harm. May you receive boundless compassion. And may peace and harmony fill your heart. Namandab, 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 namandab. Thank you. At this point, we usually share our Reno Buddhist Center theme song. We will have to use the mind singing method as well here. If you want to read along with it, it's on page 49 of the service book. Those of you who have it memorized, it will be easier to mind sing it. Masako, if you will.
Away, away, come away with me, where the grass grows wild and the winds blow free. Away, away, come away with me, and I'll build you a home in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. The stars, oh how bright and far, on a world of pure and eternal love. The stars, oh how bright they'll shine on the home we will build in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow.
I do want to point your attention to announcements in the order of service. The most important one is next Saturday evening we will have Moon Rabbit Cafe. It will be a drive-in in the parking lot because we can't come inside, but that's okay. We're going to forge forward. So please come to dinner. It's a pay-what-you-can drive-in. So come into the parking lot, and then I would check the type of food, but I do not have an order of service. I'm sure it will be delicious. And please come because we buy the food ahead. And if people don't come, then we have all this extra food. So thank you so much. The last piece of our service is a calm, mindful exiting of the temple. And we are going to do that in an organized way. So I would ask the back row to start first, maybe prop the door open, and then the next row, and the next row, and the next row. Somebody said this reminds them of a fire drill in elementary school. It may be so. But if we do it in an organized way, then we don't have that congregating big pile of people thing. So please, Scott, if you could prop that door open, we could start to work our way. I know we haven't practiced this, but it'll be the first time we do it today, so we can make sense out of it. Okay, now everyone in the back row.